Today we are going to be solving equations, radical equations by square roots. So before we get started, let's do this top summary box here. So step one, we want to get the radical by itself. So remember, radical or square root sign, that's the same thing. All right, next thing we are going to do, we are going to either add or subtract any constant on the same side of the squared variable. So think, okay, say I have 2x plus 1 equals 5. The first thing I would do here is subtract 1. That's the same idea as these equations. All right, then the last thing I would do, I'm going to divide any coefficient on the same side of the squared variable. So, in the same as this equation here, the last step I would do would be divide by 2. Okay, then you're going to square root both sides of the equation. Remember, when you take the square root, you get two solutions. So like positive and negative 2. All right, the exact answer. That is the radical or square root form of your answer. That's simplified, so we'll break those down if we need to. The decimal approximation is obviously the decimal answer from your calculator. So for example, you would type in like square root of 7, and that's approximately, we use those squiggle marks. Let me redo that. That's approximately whatever it is. Let's see. Second square root of 7 would be 2.64. Okay. All right. So let's start with a couple here. So first one, x squared equals 16. You notice 16 is a perfect square. So when I take the square root of both sides, the square root cancels with the squared. Okay, so this square root is undoing the squared. So I'm just left with x. Now, the square root of 16, if you plug in your calculator, it's just going to say 4. But we know that we're smarter than calculators most of the time. So my actual answer is positive 4 and negative 4. You can write it like that, or you can write it like negative 4, comma 4. Either way, you can see that written. So my exact answer here is negative 4, 4. My decimal approximation is the same because it's already a whole number. All right, let's do another easy one. I'm going to undo that squared sign by taking the square root. So I'm left with x equals the square root of 5. Can I break down 5 using a factor tree? Nope, because it's a prime number. So I'm not going to do that. But now I have positive root 5 and negative root 5. So those are my exact answers. My exact answer is the square root symbol. My decimal approximation, you're going to type that in your calculator. So second square root of 5 equals, so we have 2.24 and negative 2.24. Okay, remember, you can always plug in these decimals back in for x and make sure that they're the same as the square root of 5. Okay, number 3, I'm going to, again, take the square root of both sides. So I have x equals the square root of negative 75. If you're plugging into your calculator, it's giving you something weird, right? So second square root of negative 75, domain error, what? So we cannot take square roots of negative numbers, ever. Okay, these are imaginary numbers. We're not even going to deal with that in this class. So for now, we are writing no solution. Let me add this in. Sorry, let's add no real solutions. Okay. Okay. Now number 4, this is, getting into more of a solving. So the first thing I want to do is subtract 3. I have x squared equals 69 minus 3 is 66. Okay. My next step, I'm going to take the square root of both sides. So x is equal to positive square root of 66 and negative square root of 66. I want to see, can I break that down? So I have what? 2 times 33, 3 times 11. all of these are prime numbers, so I can't break it down anymore. So that's my answer, square root of 66 and negative square root of 66. Type that into your calculator then. You should get positive 8.12 and negative 8.12. Okay, let's go to the back side. All right, now let's do one that's a little bit harder here. Okay, let's go to number 7. So I'm going to add 3 to both sides first. Okay, so I have 3x squared equals 39. Now I will divide by 3. So I'm left with x squared, and then 39 divided by 3 is 13. Okay, then last step, I'll take the square root of both sides. So x is equal to the positive square root of 13 and negative square root of 13. Can you break down 13? Nope, because it's prime. Good. So that's my answer. And then my decimal approximation, you'll just type it into your calculator. Second square root of 13. So I have what? Positive 3.6 and negative 3.6. Okay, let's do one more here. So number 8, I'm going to subtract 5 first. So I have 2x squared is equal to 40. Divide both sides by 2. X squared is equal to 20. All right, next step, take the square root of both sides. X is equal to square root of 20. Can I break that down? I have what? 2 times 10 and 2 times 5. I'm going to rewrite this up here so I have a little more room. Square root of 20. Okay. 2 times 10, 2 times 5. All right, I have a pair of 2s. All right, so I can have one guy escape out of jail. So the 2 is in front, and then I have the 5 is left in jail. There's no friend to come bail him out. Where am I at here? This 5 is still in there. Okay, so this is my simplified answer for my exact answer. So on my line here, I'm going to write 2 root 5 and negative 2 root 5. Then in your calculator, you'll type that in. So 2, and then second square root of 5, enter. So I should get 4.47 and negative 4.47. Okay. All right. Actually, I lied. We're going to do one more here real quick. Number 9. I'm going to subtract 16 from both sides. So I have 2x squared is equal to negative 6. Divide by 2, divide by 2. X squared equals negative 3. When I take my square root, square root of a negative is always no real solution. So this is not going to work. So I write no real solutions. Okay, and that's the same thing for the decimal approximation. Okay, there we have it. That's day 1 of solving radical equations by square roots.